Good evening YouTube, Shizney Gaming here. Tonight, launching my first ever rocket to eeloo, or well, it's a lander anyway. Rover, sorry. Anyway, so as we see here, I'm sitting on the launch pad, and hopefully I'm doing this post-commentary correctly. It's kind of late at my house, so I have to be quiet to help, not keep the family up all night. So, we've got beautiful liftoff, and I do have a lot of cuts and transitions in here. Uh, this was about a 3-hour mission, if I remember correctly. I've chopped it down to, I think, just under a half hour, just over 20 minutes. So anyways, this thing has got a nice, thrust to weight ratio. I am using the near mod. I mean, I have other mods, but near is the only one I'm using. Even remote tech, I use MechJeb, right? Even remote tech, up in the top left, you can see where it says local control. That's not in play because I'm not using any probes or anything. So, I follow my usual ascent path and, just doing my normal thing. Now, the only thing I was really concerned about was decoupling those large engines, and I don't believe I show them in this launch. But what happens is sometimes if your decoupler is below the dry center of mass of those tanks, it'll cause your nose cones to pitch inwards and smash your engine, and it's quite annoying. So as we transition over to the orbital phase, where I'm just, getting up to a circular orbit. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't watch the video because I don't really have much time to do this tonight. I've got school tomorrow, work the day after that. I don't have time to do this over the weekend. I kind of wanted it by tonight. So that's done. My orbit, I believe, is now circular. No, sorry. I'm headed to my apoapse. Right, it's a 600 kilometer apoapse to allow for maximum time warp. And so I'm just going to go ahead and use MechJeb to set and execute a maneuver node to circularize. But first I go ahead and detach that stage. Now, you might be wondering, why is there... Oh, yeah. Basically what happens is I end up in the night side, and you would have just seen nothing after rendering the video. So anyways, as you can see, I'm using MechJeb's pork chop plots to head out to eeloo. It's telling me that, my next best spot's going to be in about 306 Kerbal days, sorry, because I'm using Kerbal time, and it's going to take me about 4 years to coast out there. And on the pork chop plot, you see the blue spot's the most efficient, the red's the least. And I mean, you can see me, I'm sort of mucking around, hovering my mouse over different spots to get different values and learning how this works. First time I'd ever used a pork chop plot, to be honest. But anyways, MechJeb automatically gives you the most efficient. So I decided, yeah, go ahead, do it, create and execute. And I'm doing create and execute because not only do computers have much higher accuracy than I for a mission like this, but also from my understanding, it's going to take a long time to do this mission. I'd rather be able to tab out and do something else while I wait for MechJeb to do this all for me. Now you can see my transfer stage has just shy of 5 kilometers a second of delta V, or just over when I first launched. So I have no worries about delta V. So let's go ahead and wait and skip over to when I start the burn. Now, this scene will be a little bit short because it takes me behind the dark side of the planet, as most planetary jumps do, just due to the way the prograde is on the orbit, and yeah. So, it'll just be the start of the burn, and this was kind of a lengthy burn, about 5 minutes, as you see. Estimated burn time is just over 5 minutes. So I just sort of tabbed out, did something else, watched some YouTube videos. I can't really play any other games while I'm recording. It really butchers any performance. Not like I had performance to begin with, but moving on. This is, I believe, this is where I'm fine-tuning my closest approach. So midway through my jump to eeloo, basically I'm doing this small burn to adjust my trajectory so I will meet up much closer with it when I get there. And I must say, MechJeb does freaking wonders with stuff like this. Like, if you ever want to make sure you're going to get to that planet, yes. Right. So anyways, had a bit of audio weirdness there. Now there's sound in the background of people being noisy and annoying. So, just found out that some of my YouTube videos got recorded in there, and it messed me up a lot. I really hope this doesn't throw me out of synchronization. But anyways, there we go. I'm trying to adjust my orbit around eeloo, so I'll have a proper counterclockwise orbit. If you're looking at the North Pole, it'll be, I believe, clockwise if you're looking at the South Pole. And, yeah, now I'm just doing that. So, setting up, it's a small burn out at this distance and velocity, so, it's not that big of a deal. But when it comes to landing, you want to be traveling counterclockwise, relative to the orbit of the body. It's just more efficient. I've explained that in a different video. So now I'm circular around the planet, and I'm just praying that I'm in synchronization with my audio here. I am so sorry if I'm not. But I'm around the planet, and I quick save because, you know, I just might want to go back and do this landing a few times because I don't know if I'll come back out here. Amazing to do. I would highly recommend it to anyone who's going to another planet. But honestly, it takes forever to get here. I mean, going to Jewel isn't as bad. So, anyway. So, as you know, I'm sitting here. I don't know why I'm sitting there. What am I doing while I'm sitting there? I think I tabbed out. I may have tabbed out. Why I'm sitting there, I don't know. I'll probably be editing this out, but unfortunately, I get to sit through this. Crap. Yeah, so as I had stopped my audio recording here and gone over and adjusted my video, which this is the first time I've done a true post commentary, so I'm not very good at this apparently. Hopefully this hasn't thrown me even more to synchronization. But yes, now we're setting up to land on the planet. We're getting our orbit to skim nice and close to the ground. We don't want to be on an impact trajectory because we're not trying to hit a target. We're just trying to get close, and then we'll kill all of our lateral velocity and have the smallest descent distance or fall distance. This will just allow us to basically, kill all of our orbital energy and spend what I think to be the least amount of fuel, because gravity accelerates you, adds its own energy to you. So, we're doing this. I'm just checking my fuels, seeing how much I got left, doing my orbits and such. And I mean, it's a pretty quiet and simple process. I mean, Kerbal Space Program's a quiet and simple game. It's really hard to talk about just the game, and I'm not very knowledgeable on space subjects, not any more than your average person who's interested in space. You listen to Scott Manley, he just knows everything. He's a god at KSP, but anyway. So I do my burn here, adjust my orbit. I believe I'm letting MechJub's taking care of this one here, as MechJub is with all of the burns really, except the landing. The landing was all me, which we will see in a minute here. I look at my map to make sure all's well, and as long as the blue line doesn't clip through the ground, I find I don't ever hit anything, which I'm okay with. So we, head over to here, and at this point it occurs to me, that ground is really dimly lit. What the hell? And then I realized we are so far from that sun that it's providing very little light to us out here. And that just amazed me. I mean, I'd never been to a planet that was far enough to have this effect. And now eeloo, is just chilling out here like sup, and we can observe this. I mean, that's just fascinating, but anyway, I closed some of those MechJub windows for a better frame rate, because having all those windows open does in fact nerf the performance of the game, I found. And I just want to set up here, and I think, well, when should I land? Because, I mean, I don't know what the surface of eeloo looks like. If I were human, I would have sent a probe out here to map the place, but, we're Kerbals. We just go there. So I decided to start killing my velocity, or my lateral velocity. Now, my first thought was, hey, if I point underneath my retrograde marker, it'll keep pushing me upwards, as I'm trying to slow down to prevent me from smashing into the terrain. Well, just as I was doing this, I realized how horrifically wrong I was. Not sure at what point I did realize how wrong it was, but there we go. So I'm like, okay, whatever, we'll just burn at prograde. You'd want to burn above prograde to, push yourself upwards. Not like it really matters at this altitude. So as I'm going, really this transfer stage was just meant to get us up here. I mean, I wasn't even expecting it to get us into an orbit, let alone, spearhead most of our landing. You can see, I've got more than enough Delta V in this launcher to actually land us. Like, we might have maybe about 50 or so Delta V left when we're done landing. Maybe even more. Probably about 200 actually. But either way, I'm just landing, bringing this in, trying to remain calm because, as it were, after spending 3 hours, I don't want to muck up this landing. And I decide, you know what, I've got about 2,670 Delta V in this lander itself, or in the rover itself. I mean, I thought of a sky crane design, but I don't know, it just left the rover looking so bare bones. I decided, hey, let's incorporate the landing system into the rover. Let's put the rockets on the rover. and first time I'd ever done that, and my god, did it work well. As you'll see here, I'm slowing down. I'm like, I don't really want that. Now, for some reason, there was an odd rotation. I don't quite understand with that lander as I decoupled it, but I'm not going to question it. As you can see, I've got all 8 of my little engines firing, and I know they're not the most efficient. In fact, probably using LV909s? Yeah, I think that's them. Using LV909s may have been more efficient, specific impulse speaking. Oh, pretty explosions. I love the new explosion effects. And the sound of it was just unbelievable. Anyway, using LV909s perhaps for a specific impulse would have been better, but for its own thrust, for its own mass, it actually would have reduced my delta V. And I did a little experiment. The tiny ant engine that has horrific specific impulse compared to the new inline Rockamax engines, like the orange ones there, except inline. It actually, on a small probe, the ant engine produced more delta V despite its lower specific impulse. So it just goes to show how important mass is when it comes to use delta V's. So anyways, bringing it down, and I'm not pulsing the engine as the effects might tell you. That's just the thrust is so low that we can imagine that the fuel oxidizer isn't burning hot enough, isn't burning in enough volume to sustain consistent ignition as more fuel and oxidizer is added. It's just like going puttering out bits of ignited fuel and oxidizer. And as we land, and this, touching down and hitting those brakes was perhaps the most excitement I've felt in this game in months. I mean, I've gotten kind of bored with the game, to be honest. I've done almost everything I could think of. I mean, this is one of the few things I haven't done, was explored distant planets with rovers, and it's refreshing, definitely. So, first thing is get your Kerbal out, get him onto the surface, and just like that. Now, I was surprised to see there's just enough gravity for him to sprint, but low enough gravity that you're not exactly very, you can jump high, yeah. Now that rover, I actually had a scene that I removed from here. I was thinking of keeping in the building and testing of the rover, but too time consuming really. That rover is a design I've had pretty much since rovers were buildable in this game, and it's just, it works. Basically, it's that one lander cabin with a bunch of girders. A couple of the girders are angled down to give you a little more clearance, and then you've got 8 wheels. Basically, how do I explain this? You got 4 of them on the inside of the girders and 4 on the outside, and it's great. I mean, if one of them bursts with an anomaly, something you might hit or just a random terrain bug, it's okay. If one of them bursts, and even if you don't have a crew, the other 7 will easily compensate. I mean, even if one entire half of it gets burst off, the other half, like I'm talking about, if half of them get burst off, the other half will carry it. It's ridiculous. I mean, I got down to 3 wheels before it just stopped driving normally, which was just unbelievable. Now, one downside to trying to get into the cabin here is that the low gravity means you gotta do a little bit of acrobatics. But, as you can see, I did it. Bring up my ladder, after I check. Bringing back to the whole sun being further away. Wow, I'm really trying to keep up with my video here. I am not doing such a good job. I play quickly, apparently. And I'll be back one more time. Alright, so, without getting too far into synchronization, oh my god. Like I said before, I'm not very good at this. I might be way out of sync. Okay, so by this point, I've clicked on the solar panels, I believe, and basically checked, because I remember hearing about solar panels being less effective the further away you are from the sun, which makes sense because other stars, the little stars we see, are suns themselves. But of course, you don't see people using their solar panels at night because they're so damn far away from those suns that the amount of light and energy hitting those panels is negligible. And you can see eeloo's far enough to start to feel this effect. I mean, those panels are only generating 0.16 units of charge with just under half exposure. I mean, just under half exposure should have been generating, I think double. Yeah, but 0.32 charge. Though, don't quote me on that. I don't use these panels very often. I've been making a lot of space planes recently, actually, so I've been using RTGs, radioisotope thermoelectric generators, because they provide a specific mass that I can use to balance my aircraft. Quite a wonderful thing. You see in space, your tailplanes will typically offset your mass and cause a bit of a rotation. with this handy little tool I have, RCS build aid, I can check my, thrust and how much forces my engine is going to apply in terms of rotation. So I can use other mass and balance it right up to 0. Okay, so I'll get back to this mission at hand. I get to eeloo here, and I'm roving. I want to get to the dirt patch, but upon scrolling out after driving for like 20 minutes, I realize I've got quite a ways to go, and I don't really have time for that. And then it clicked. Wait, I've got rockets on this thing. Huh, let's just fly over there. So I stopped my rolling, and don't know how far out of sync I am now with all my little stops and starts with my commentary, but I take off and I pitch forward as best I can. Forgot reaction wheels on this, so it pitches very slowly, which I guess is kind of a good thing. It doesn't prevents me from overgoing, and now I'm sort of mucking around. I realize I'm actually going to be heading just to the east of this brown patch that I want to go to, the dirt patch, I should say. And I'm like, which way will push me that way? Oh wait, there we go. Burning west should help, which I didn't think about at first. So as I stop, about there, right? 'Cause I figure, how quickly can the planet rotate by the time I've flown over there? Well, apparently much quicker than I had anticipated. I didn't think there'd be much deviation, but there is. But thankfully, I land close to sort of where the intersection is there. And come to think of it now, it kind of looks like the Half-Life symbol of the game. Anyway, so we come in for a landing. I'm impatiently accelerating towards the ground, and I figure maybe I should switch everything over so I'm ready to start thrusting when the time comes. Get everything ready, and then Impatient told me, he goes, heck, we got some time. Let's warp. I don't really want to sit around. Meanwhile, Obful, or whatever his name is there, is happily flying towards the ground at more than lethal velocities. And as we just come down, I figure, okay, it's time to start slowing down, so I start cranking out the engines. I just love the effects on those ones. I don't use those little engines often enough. I really need to start using them again. Anyway, so just go ahead and slow down here. It's your typical VTOL landing procedure, actually, come to think of it. I mean, if you're using rocket-powered VTOLs, this is a VTOL. I wonder if I could bring an SSTO to eeloo. Probably not. It's hard to get a lot of delta V on those suckers unless you use ion. There's no way in hell I'm using ion. I have school and work. There's no way I can use an ion engine. So, after slowing down a little too much, as some might say, I decided to coast towards the ground a bit, then put on the engines a little. It's a fine art, landing is, really. I mean, you pulse the engines too heavily and you'll end up doing this weird up and down yo-yo effect. You don't put enough power in the engines, and you hit the ground and explode. And it's a fine art. Yeah, you just gotta use a little bit of power, and the closer you get to the ground, the slower you want to go. I mean, it's sort of like putting a glass down on the table. I mean, you don't just let your arm go limp and then at the last minute catch your arm and fling it back up and let it go limp again. Nor do you just sort of let your arm go limp and hit the table. Yeah, the closer you get to the table, the slower you move the glass, so as to, not smash the glass into the table and subsequently shatter the cup or whatever and cut your hand into ribbons. Not fun. Watched a YouTuber do it once. How to Basic, I think his name is. Awesome YouTuber. Hilarious guy. I don't think I've ever laughed so hard at a video. Yeah, one episode he smashes a wine glass and ends up cutting himself. He didn't show it on camera, but in sort of a behind-the-scenes thing, he shows it. Anyways, we land for a second time, and this time I'm like, alright, cool. We're a lot closer, a lot quicker. Get out, figure I put a second landing spot flag on there, and normally I delete flags and such, but I might just leave my flags there, just on eeloo, because I don't think I'm ever coming back out here. I'd like to just say though, my my video here is at a much higher frame rate than I recall playing in. Damn video recording software. Oh well. So anyways, back into the rover we go, practicing these acrobatics. In we go, and off we are, because we still have a dirt patch to get to. I don't know why I felt the need to go to a dirt patch, but damn it, I'm on eeloo. I spent all this time getting out here, and I'm complaining a lot about the time it takes to get out here, I just noticed. But you know what? I spent all this time getting here. We are going to that dirt patch. So off we go, and yeah. not much else to say. I mean, Rosetta landed on that, or sorry, Philae landed on that comet recently. Was a few days ago now. Yep. Amazing stuff. I mean, yeah, I guess that sounds a little under-enthused. That was actually really exciting. I got up one morning and it was almost like Christmas. You know, I would run upstairs and turn on the news, and a few minutes later they're talking about Philae, and I'm just giggling excitedly, even though it wasn't that exciting because I mean, I'm just some guy who knows very little about this mission, but the fact that we've now touched on our comet, I know that's a momentous occasion because we've never done that before. That was the exciting part, something we've never done before. And yeah, they've returned a lot of samples and information. I mean, ridiculous amounts of just new stuff we're learning from this. Anyway, so, you know, as I'm driving, I believe I'm doing another scene transition here soon. And for me, these scenes are pretty much instant cuts to the next scene. For you, it'll be more of a pretty fade transition. You know, just the old one fades to black, then the new one fades in pretty quick. But for me, they're pretty sharp. But anyways, we're on eeloo. I mean, it was at this moment, looking at this big giant ball of ice and rock, that I realized I'm on eeloo. I'm as far away as you land from the Space Center. I mean, you don't get, really, any further than this, unless you go Voyager style and project out of the, you know, solar system, which is... Unity doesn't like that very much. I mean, Unity is what they've built KSP around, and it's proven to be quite, I mean, it's amazing to, you know, simulate all these physics, the bumps in the house at night. It was to simulate all these physics in such a simple game engine. It's amazing. You know, Unity is great for if you want to build a simple game. You know, something, if you want to hammer out something nice and quick that's fun to play. Unity's great, but you know, KSP is really, really pushing the envelope here. I mean, I don't think Unity can do much more. Not unless the developers of Unity add a lot more functionality, which I don't know how much more you can pack into that one. So anyways, as I'm rolling here, most of it's me actually decelerating. Like, I'm not accelerating at all, I'm just trying to maintain my velocity. I believe at one point, I actually got to the point where I was near the braking velocity of these wheels. I mean, these wheels can only go up to about 80 kilometers an hour, or, you know, 20 some odd meters per second. Any more than that, and, you know, they just get sheared to bits. You know, they break. You gotta repair them. So back down to regular time warp, I start doing little donuts. You know, enthused about how the gravity is enough to hold me in place as I do this, and then I figure I'm not getting very much traction from these, so let's just go ahead and slam our brakes. Now, a little trick. If you slam your brakes and hold the reverse key, you actually decelerate much faster. So as we come up to the end of our video here, I can see now on my editor that this video comes out to just over 24 minutes, perhaps 24 minutes and 25 seconds, I'm going to say. So we drop down, no need for a ladder, because we are on eeloo, modifaras, and we plant another flag, because why the heck not? We have infinite flags, apparently. Slap, slap, chop, and we are good. So, with that, I name this place Dirty Dirty Snow, I think. Yep, Dirty Dirty Snow, and I'm excited to actually see the synchronization issue with that. I might be speaking in the past. You guys might already know what's happening before I am. Oh god! No. Oh wait, I still have to render this time upload. It's 10 o'clock now anyway. But, yeah, also that slide drone, I should have addressed that sooner. That slide drone in the background is my computer fan. This is a great microphone, likes to pick up everything. I lied, that's terrible. You don't want a microphone to pick up anything. But with the video running out of time here, thank you all for watching. Shizney Gaming. I hope to do more post-commentaries soon. And yes, it did cut out, because I didn't think I was going to do post-commentary, so I put that in there. But anyways, thank you for watching. Stay tuned!